jot us a little note in the chat, and we'll see what we can do to help or fix any of the technology. I am joined today by Dale Ziegler, who's going to run our tech, and I'm going to do my best to monitor chat and raised hands in our little virtual tools there. And then Jared's going to join us just as soon as he is finished with another call that's running late. So today is September 7th. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Jackie Travieso. On your screen here, you've got a list of all of the upcoming Dreamin' events. This is a list that we try to add to every time we hear of a new event. If there's something that is missing, please let us know, and we'll be glad to add that. There's some couple other additional resources listed here to show you all of the events by Salesforce, and then a community success event calendar link as well. And then there's some new opportunities that are coming up at Dreamforce. They're doing a Commerce Cloud Bootcamp, along with a couple of others. There's a link there that you can log into. If you're going to go to Dreamforce this year, you might check those out. And let's go to the next slide. So this call is held the first and third Friday of the month. For your calendar, the next call is September 21st, right before Dreamforce. We've created a quick little bit.ly there so that you can bookmark that and always be able to register. We do send out email invitations prior to each call, but if for some reason those don't hit your inbox and get caught up in spam or something, you can just bookmark that bit.ly and find us every month. So this is an open Q&A discussion. Feel free to ask any question that you have regarding Salesforce. There's no question too big or too small. We do everything that we can to either answer the question, provide you with resources, or at least point you in the direction of others who are experienced in the area that you're asking about. So this call is being recorded. Dale, did you hit the button?
Yeah, it's been going.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I forgot to ask at the beginning. So we'll post the recording on community and Twitter. And I believe everybody right now is muted. If there's any background noise, we'll try to manage that as well for you. And again, feel free to ask any questions by doing one of two things, either raising your hand in the chat, or you can actually raising your hand in the participant window or using the chat. Or if we've got some dead air, just go ahead and unmute yourself. Announce yourself so that we can put a voice with a name. And then again, everybody's experiences are welcome. Please share them. If you, as you're listening, if you identify some resources, please drop those into the chat too so we can share this. The whole idea behind today's call and every call is that this is for the community, by the community. So please feel free to jump in and participate. And we do allow screen sharing now. We do have that capability. The only thing that I ask is that you make sure whatever you're sharing is okay to share based on your company rules, and that you're not sharing any sensitive data. So we do have that capability now. Just as a reminder, we do have global MVP office hours. So we are the first and third Friday of the month. EMEA meets on various dates, as does APAC. Portuguese is the last Thursday of the month, and then students meets the first Friday of the month, and they should actually be kicking off here again now that school is back in session. You can find the Twitter handles on the right side of your screen, and I encourage you to follow all of these various MVP office hours groups. And I would say that even though we've got MVP office hours Portuguese, Carlos does a magnificent job of translating questions from Portuguese into English and answers back and forth. So just because you don't speak Portuguese does not mean that you cannot dial in and help out answer questions or ask questions. So anyway, wanted to put that out there. And then the next big announcement that we have, and we mentioned this last month, is that we're going to be at Dreamforce this year. So there's a session called Salesforce MVP Office Hours Live, for the community, by the community. You can actually search for that in the agenda builder. You'll find us on Wednesday, September 26th at 11:30 in the morning, that is Pacific time, in Moscone West in the admin zone, or admin meadow as they call it now. So come by, say hello. If we have never met you in person, this is a great opportunity. We will have representation from all of the global MVP office hours, so looking forward to meeting with all of our hosts across the world, and we're going to have stickers too. We've got an updated version of our stickers. So come by, say hello, grab a sticker, ask a question, introduce yourself, and just participate. Dale, do you have anything to add to that?
No, sure don't. We're just excited to get there in a couple of weeks.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and open it up to questions and or discussions. So don't be shy. Go ahead and raise your hand or just unmute yourself and ask away. It can be anything. It can be Dreamforce related, Salesforce related, Lightning related. If you're looking for a resource. If you did something really cool in Lightning in the last couple of weeks and you want to share it, please do. I'm not seeing a single hand raised yet. Marty, I would like to call on you for a quick second because I think you had a question months ago, and I may be wrong, it may not have been you, but I think you had a question about in Lightning creating a quick action that would allow you to send an email, a specific email template right from within that component. Does that sound like something that you asked for?
Maybe.
Maybe. I wasn't sure if it was you or not. And that actual requirement came up this week in discussion with someone. I thought, you know, there was someone who asked about this. I think we gave some guidance. I don't know where she landed on it. Did you ever implement anything like that?
Yes. This is coming back to me now. It was a number of months ago.
It was quite a long time ago, so I wasn't sure.
Would have been earlier in the year, and the answer is yes. And we did it, I think, with 2 different buttons for different templates. Yes, I know. Yes, the issue was this particular client had 2 different companies, and so they wanted, and which had different requirements. So depending on which entity it was, they had different templates that had different signatures, etc. We did it by doing 2 different email buttons that created different signatures and kind of the base of the template, and then somebody, or the base of the signatures, and then whoever, and it was a Service Cloud person, and then whatever they were answering, they could then incorporate into that an additional text or incorporate a knowledge article.
And you did that with a quick action?
I believe we did it with a quick action, the email button, but it had different text coming in based on.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to have to research that a little bit more.
Yeah. The other question I think I had asked in this session, just FYI, was I had a situation where we wanted to hover on a task and show for the contact and show if they had any opportunities or cases related to that contact. And it worked in my DevOrg, and it didn't work in production of this customer. And if this rings a bell, and the response was from Salesforce, literally took 3 weeks to solve. And it was, I hadn't set up the organization, but the organization had been set up with the option turned on that allowed multiple contacts associated with the task. And that's why the hover didn't work. Just FYI, this rings a bell. And it's one of those options that Salesforce has to turn off because you can lose information if they turn it off if you had associated multiple contacts. So that was a stumper.
Interesting.
Yeah. But since I'm talking, can I just ask one opinion question?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So another situation, everybody, all Salesforce users but one, we want to give access to all accounts in that organization. But one individual, we only want to give access to a parent account and then related children accounts. Just quick answers of anybody that has opinions on the best way to do this. I know there's a million ways.
Is it grandchildren contacts as well?
No, no, just parents and children.
And is it one specific account that they want
Yeah.
to grant access?
Yeah.
Just one?
Just one with that have, so it's a small enough number that could be done individually. So it's not the fact that it's a parent that's key, because we're talking literally about a dozen total accounts. But it would be better if it was the parent, because then we don't have to worry about it individually.
Would this group of accounts ever fluctuate, or is it a static set of accounts? Like it's not going to change over time?
Very minimally, and they could be added to by the individual user, so then it would be their account. And I know that would be okay, so, but very minimally.
So let me just, I'm going to reset the question here to make sure I understand. All users except one can have access to all accounts, yes?
Yes, true.
But then there's this one user that should only have a very tiny subset.
That is correct.
I mean, shooting from the hip, you put all users minus one on a profile that has view all or view all modify all on accounts. You put the other user on an account that doesn't have view all modify all. Your org-wide default goes to private, and then just a sharing rule for those specific accounts for that user.
So that's exactly what I did with using role. So I did the sharing rule as the role. I made the accounts private and added a sharing rule, but there's something wrong, because that individual is being able to see everything on the profile. But I'm on the right track. I just have to double check that. So I was having somebody do it with my click here, click there. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
The other option is if it's a small subset of accounts, and there's going to be minimal changes to it. You don't use any sharing rules, and then someone is empowered to manually share those accounts with that user.
But I would still have to set the organization-wide default as private.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like we have a discussion going in the chat too about tasks. So you might want to pop in and take a look at that. Everyone should have access to that. Chris is asking if anyone has read the Winter 19 release notes, and if there are any awesome features to share. Dale, you want to bring up the HTML?
I'm working on it.
You are? You're so good. I can say yes, there's some really fantastic stuff coming our way. I'm going to let Dale bring up the release notes real quick here. And does everybody know, too, that there's an HTML version of the release notes? We're looking at the PDF right now, but there is an HTML version, too, that allows you to search.
I'm sorry, that's just what I had bookmarked was the
No, 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 that's okay. I saw it and it just reminded me that we just should make sure that everyone is aware of that. While he's bringing that up. The only reason I pause not to say, hey, these are my favorite things coming out is because as part of the MVP program, Dale and I are under NDA. So we know some things that are coming, but we are not allowed to talk about it.
Your statement implies I've had time to read emails and Inner Circle posts that would put me in the know on NDA stuff. Ha 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 ha.
Haha, that's true. That's true. Anyway, so okay, great. He's got the release notes up. Dale, will you drill into let's do the Sales Cloud. Just maybe some of the core sales features, just so we can kind of take a peek there and see if anybody has read about any of this stuff that they're like super excited about coming our way.
So this is Marty. There's two things that excite me. One, I know we've talked about in this group, is they've added a search in list view, which isn't as good as the letters that we had in Classic, but it at least helps get you to a place if you're looking at a list view of a lot of items. And the second thing is, I believe they've implemented a version of close all tabs that are open.
Oh, that would be awesome.
So I just found a slight bug. I tried to navigate to HTML from the Winter 19 PDF, and it took me to Summer 18.
Oh.
That's super fun.
And this file.
Stuart was asking if that was the 800-page version of the release notes. I believe that it was originally out there on the screen.
No, it was the preview.
Oh, it was? Okay.
400 something.
Oh, just 400 and something. Just some little bedtime reading for you. But if you're not using this HTML version, I think this is the better version so that you can at least drill into what it is that you're looking for and then use the search function to better find things. So I would definitely add that to your bookmarks and favorites and share the news about that. That's been around for a bit. Chris has got a question.
Yeah, hi. I was asking about the winter release. I just came across the winter release highlights in Trailhead, so it looks like I've got a good hour and a half of Trailhead to catch me up on some of the highlights. So I just thought I'd share that as well.
Yes, and there is, and I'll see if I can find the link in my email, but there's also the various cloud release readiness webinars that we can all sign up for and attend, and they break them down by cloud and product. And I think they do them once a week by cloud, I think it is. There is a schedule. Oh, looks like Dale's got it. And then you can register for these, and I find it helpful to try to consume this information in various delivery methods. So I'm visual, so seeing it on screen is extremely helpful. Hopefully I'll remember it, or at least remember that I think that I saw it. So this Trailhead, and then talking about it too at your user groups is a great way to try and consume all of it and try to figure out, does it solve any of your present day challenges? Or are there steps that you need to take to get ready for it?
Can you share this link that he's showing?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Can you drop that in the chat too, Dale, pretty please? There you go. And I'm going to call on Stuart. Stuart, have you had a chance to look through the release notes? Is there anything that jumps out at you? Or the trailhead highlights?
I haven't, but your discussion has me remembering something that with the release notes comes the fact that there will be a actual release of it. And so that reminds me to advertise a little thing that I like to use called trust.salesforce.com, which is a site that I always recommend to people whenever I can. And there's another site that goes with it called status.salesforce.com, which it looks like Dale is typing in right now. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is that you can, if you know your instance, the number of your instance here, you can subscribe to get emails on the maintenance window, and Salesforce will send you the timing of when your upgrade will happen. And so if there's a delay, like last time during the spring release, there was actually a delay on mine, and it let me know ahead of time that they were delaying it by a few hours. Why it was important for me is that before I do any upgrades on mine, I have a managed package on my org. And I like to shut off certain services, certain Apex batch jobs that are running before the upgrade happens. And so I have subscribed to these emails, so I know exactly when my org or when the NA number is being upgraded, so I can shut off the packages and services in my org before it gets upgraded, and then go back in and then restart those services after the upgrade. So this is just something that I give a heads up. You may want to let yourself know when your orgs are being upgraded by Salesforce.
So something super interesting now that, with Lightning, everybody going to my domain, is now you kind of have to hunt for where that org number is. Like, I just logged into my dev org, which briefly showed NA34 in the URL. Does anybody know where you actually find what pod you're on?
Yeah, it's under, go to environments, I believe. If you go down a little bit there. System overview. Oh, it may not be there. It might actually be under company settings. Sorry. Go down a little bit more. Yes, it's in there. Okay, on the second column, instance NA34. Yep, that's where it is. Sorry.
No, you're good. I was kind of leading you into that one, actually.
Yeah.
Because, but prior to my domain, prior to Lightning, that was right there. That was totes obs, as the kids say these days. So now you have to actually go hunt and find it. But then, yes, to Stuart's point, you can actually subscribe to it. And that's new. Email? Never used that before.
Oh, yeah. It's cool.
So anyway. Good call out, Stuart.
That's fantastic. Stuart, can you give us an example of why you're turning off the packages or the services? What things are you running into, or what things should people be thinking about, especially if they're taking over a new org and they've never had to deal with packages or services?
Yeah, so I work at a nonprofit membership organization that we do. We're a PBS affiliate, and so we do memberships. We'll take your membership to be a member of our PBS station, and every night we do charge processing is one of the things we do. So we have a batch of credit cards and EFTs that we will process every night, and that will run somewhere between the hours of, say, 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Well, that is about the same time period that Salesforce likes to do their upgrades. So if I'm in the middle of a charge processing to my payment processor at the same time that an upgrade is happening to my Salesforce org, and something were to happen to that charge process, I could lose out on revenue. So I don't really want to even take a chance there. The chance that something would happen is so slight. It's in the low percentage, but I don't want to take that chance. So I turn off that charge processing classes from being scheduled that night. And then once the upgrade has happened and I've gone in to make sure, yep, everything's working the way it's supposed to, then I'll turn that process back on. And I'll do that through rescheduling an Apex scheduled job. And I know which class to schedule and which classes to run.
Very good. That makes perfect sense. Thank you for sharing that. And I did not know about that status, so that was new to me. Thank you. Trust knew about, yeah, definitely, but I didn't know about the whole status. Okay, who else has a question or a topic to discuss? Quick show of hands. Who is going to Dreamforce?
Woo!
There we go. That's good. That's great. Good, good. For those of you who are not going, you can watch the various keynotes. They'll be streaming those. So if you want to watch all of the announcements live, there'll be URLs that you can log into. I'll see if we can find them. It might just be on the Dreamforce registration page. I don't remember where they put those, but you do have that opportunity as well. And then your local user groups will probably be hosting one of the global gatherings, so they'll also be bringing back information and sharing that with your fellow user members. So if there's something that you're looking for, you might let your user group leaders know and see if they would have an opportunity to keep their eyes open or track the information down for you. That's always a good opportunity as well. And Tim, do you have a question for the group?
No, I just put my hand up and didn't lower it. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. It's good to hear your voice.
Thank you. Yeah.
Do you have anything to share with the group?
Just it's great to be here and to have someone call my attention to the release, ready release notes, because I have not taken a look yet. But for anybody who does work in Pardot, something to note is that one of the upcoming releases, this is really great, is sync between Pardot campaigns and Salesforce campaigns. So that has been a thorn in the side of some of our clients. So I think that's going to be really helpful for people using Pardot.
So do you know enough about it to explain what it does, what it solves? What is it syncing?
I know because I just looked at the topic and read the summary of it, but
Okay.
I know the problem that it solves. So maybe I can speak to the frustration, and then, I want to wait and see how well the fix is, but it's at least identifying an issue, which is that there's been incompatibility between how Pardot treats campaigns and how Salesforce treats campaigns. So it's been hard to synchronize between those two. And because there is cross-functional language between those, the parity expectations are sometimes really, it's hard to navigate that for clients. So this will just actually reduce some confusion that is unnecessary because of the language.
Very good. Looks like we have a question from Elena.
Hi, everyone. I just would like to share about the feature which I skipped. It was about the Salesforce survey. So it's a built-in feature. You can create the survey from the Salesforce. But when I started to test it, it's turned on. You have to have a portal community enabled before you send it. But it's well to know, so you can just send surveys from the Salesforce.
And this is something new that you saw in Winter 19?
No, it's not. It was earlier, but I definitely didn't notice it.
Okay. Was this, I'm trying to think back, was this the surveys that were working with the Health Cloud, or was available through the Health Cloud?
I'm talking about the Sales Cloud and Service Cloud, so I think it's just another feature, and I think it was in the summer release. I'm not quite sure, but it just recently was delivered.
Okay, and you said that you have to have a portal community in order to make that work.
It seems, yes, you have to have it.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to add that to my list of things to look up. Great, thank you so much for sharing.
My pleasure.
Okay, for a quick time check, we're only 32 minutes into our time together. So does anyone else have thoughts or questions? If not, we certainly don't need to spend a full hour. I don't want to take up your time if we don't have anything to chat about, but I just wanted to give you the opportunity. Dale, did you have anything else on your list of things to share?
No, there was a discussion earlier up in the chat from Sridhar about tasks and taking up the bulk of data storage in an org. Sridhar, our friend from Metazoa. And I know this was a conversation either in the last office hours or the one before, but I mean, activities are your biggest data suck. Sridhar, are you still on?
Oh, it doesn't look like he is.
Gotcha.
I missed that. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I mean, we've had good conversation the whole time. So, yeah. I guess just something to speak to generally though is every detail record in your org is 2 KB. It doesn't matter what object. It doesn't matter how many fields are on the object. It doesn't matter. And activities are the ones that get away from so many people because it's not just logging your calls. If you have an email integration, you're going to be creating activities. Salesforce for Outlook, Lightning for Outlook, anything like that. Those will create activities, and it's very, very, very easy for those to get out of hand. So my word of advice to everyone on activities is just be mindful of what all is going into them. And if you don't know, you can monitor your data storage under, oh crap, where it is? Now I'm drawing a blank on where it is. Somebody help me out. I'm looking for you. Come on.
Data management, I think.
Type in storage.
Storage usage, there we go. This is a dev org, so of course I'm using very little of it, but even in a dev org, events are taking up 54% of my data storage. Dale,
I'm glad that you brought this up. Okay, so I have a follow-up question for you. So we know that tasks or activities are archived after 365 days. That just means
when after closure.
Only what do you mean?
You can have tasks open for forever and ever and ever, and they'll never get archived. It's 1 year from when they are actually closed, which for tasks means whatever status you've said is closed. 365 days on, then they get archived. Events don't have statuses. Events then just become 365 days from the end date of the event. But if your task is open, it doesn't get archived.
I've never heard that before. I was always told it was just 365 days old, it gets archived, which means it no longer would show up in reports. The task or the activity would be on the related record, but it would not impact your reports anymore.
Yeah.
Never did I hear that it had to be closed. Okay, so the flip to that is nobody closes their tasks.
Exactly. It's under that statement is under the assumption that people are actually doing what they're supposed to do and closing their tasks.
Right. So I did see Salesforce has been polling through various or various community groups questions around tasks and what are the problems that organizations are having with tasks not being managed properly, I think was pretty much the gist of it. I'll have to see if I can find that and we can add it to the notes and or tag this group because they are looking for feedback. And the majority of the feedback that I saw was that tasks are pretty much not managed. You just move on to whatever the next one is based on what's due today or the next 7 days. Mm-hmm. And they're just not closed out, to your point.
Well, and part of the problem also with that is activity has always been one of the last objects to ever receive any love because of the nature of its infrastructure. If you think about it, activity, whether it be task or event, is the only object that is out of the box a child of everything. Every other object you have to deliberately create a relationship from one object to another. Activities, then, they do really, really powerful things, but then they're really, really limited in other ways. An activity can never be a parent. It will forever be at that lowest level of your schematic. The ability to link to a who or a what makes it different in the sense that it's not an explicit contact or lead, it's a who. Your whats aren't the account or the opportunity or a specific custom object. It's anything that's not contact or lead. I remember a couple of years ago, I was the happiest guy in the world when they finally let you do math on activity date. A very basic core date that you can do anything with. Activity continues to not receive, or it receives love. I want to say that. It does, but it's towards the end because of its complexities. And so then when you have users who aren't closing their tasks, that's because automation off of tasks is just now coming into GA. It wasn't until a few releases a few years ago that you could actually trigger workflow or process builder off of activities, when every other object's always had that. So that does lead to bad user practices that Salesforce is trying to get ahead of with core functionality. It just recognizes that activities...
Very cool. Thank you for sharing that. Gail, if you can hear me, your internet is not stable right now.
I don't know what to do about that.
Oh, now I can hear you. Now it might be good now. Chris has got a question. Let's jump over to him real quick, because if he's got a question around tasks, let's keep the conversation going.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's not around task. I was just going to share something I came across a couple of weeks ago, which was the Salesforce Ohana Slack board. And I'm relatively new to using Slack, but it's got quite a bit of channels that have helped me out with some questions and some insights, and just sharing ideas and thoughts and a whole bunch. So I thought I'd just share that out with the folks here. If you guys aren't familiar with it, it's been a pretty good channel to subscribe to.
That's great. I didn't know about that. I know that there are a lot of different channels to seek advice and counsel and resources. And I think that's great, because that means people are helping people, which is what we want. The part that makes me a little bit sad is now that if we're doing it in these other channels, it's no longer searchable, as opposed to if we're doing it in answers, and
Right.
and we start to lose that. And so one of the things that I do as kind of a best practice so that I can take advantage of all of it is I'll put my questions in answers, and then I'll put a link to that in those other channels, be it community groups or maybe the Ohana Slack or what have you, so that we can start to build a repository around, you know, kind of a source of truth around the questions that we have, because then Salesforce uses that information as well to kind of garner what's being asked in the community, which then leads to ideas too. So make sure that you've got answers on your list of places for resources. So, but thank you very much for sharing that, because I'm going to go check that out for sure.
No, and thanks for your added idea of posting and linking back to the Trailblazer community.
Absolutely. Let's see, it looks like we might have a couple other. So Chris, Ty is asking if you can invite him, and he's given you his Gmail address into that as well. So I just want to make sure that you saw that, because that was specifically to you through the whole everybody channel. What else? What else? Dale, back to tasks really quick. So, because we were talking about storage being and tasks being one of those big pains. So, okay, so you've shed a little bit of light on something that I was not aware of, and I'm surprised that I didn't know that around the closed task. So when tasks are archived, so they're not actually removed from the storage count. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we're just not being able to see them through tasks. So one of the things that I will share with everyone, because I did a project like this not too long ago, is when you go through and you start deleting, especially in large volumes, all of the tasks that are multiple years old that you no longer need, it can take 4+ weeks for that to be reflected in the storage count on that one screen that Dale was showing us, where it shows all of your data monitoring. So as you're deleting things, don't be alarmed if you don't see those numbers, percent used, start to change. And I would also suggest that you log a case with Salesforce to say, on this date, I deleted, this number of records, which equaled this amount of storage, and I want to make sure that those are in fact deleted on the back end as well.
I also, when you do start getting into archive tasks and stuff, and then also if you use Data Loader, I've just made my habit with everything export all, because if you need it, this is where you can get your archive tasks. You can't get them from just export. You got to do export all. Now, if you don't want your archive tasks, then hit export. I like to work with more data so that I don't have to guess where missing stuff is. That's just me. But export all will get you those archive tasks, because to Jackie's point earlier, archive tasks don't show up in reports. Export all with Data Loader will.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Dale. All right, we've got a little bit of time left. Anybody else have a question or topic? Let me scroll through the chat one more time just to make sure that I didn't miss anything else. No, looks like we have covered everything in the chat. All right, with that, everyone, I thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully we've inspired you to, at a minimum, go take a look at the release notes, find your favorites, be ready to talk about those favorites at your upcoming meetings, user group meetings, other calls like this, to share the information, because like we said, there's so much out there and it is so difficult to keep up with all of it. So help each other consume it the best that you can. And with that, thank you again for joining us. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and we will talk to you again on the third Friday of the month. Take care, everyone.